Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Scope here on British Muslim TV with me, Waqar Rizvi, your host. This week we're going to be discussing, as we go live, both on satellite as well as throughout BMTV's various social media channels, Pakistan and political polarization in that country. Now, it is a country, much like many others, that is suffering from intense period of political polarization, especially since the successful no confidence vote against the now ousted former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Now, this is a time of economic crisis in the country, yet political bickering continues over foreign interference by the US in ensuring Khan's ouster in favor of the now Shehbaz Sharif government. In the middle, of course, remain the Pakistani people, who watch as their currency's value deteriorates, inflation rises, prices go up of all goods, as well as IMF pressure to remove subsidies as well. Now, the hyperbole and rhetoric by both the opposition and government officials towards each other can only be described really as mudslinging, if we're honest, with both misogynistic and personal attacks on each other, as well as even their family members. Are elections the answer out of this, as Khan and his party are demanding, or should they wait till elections next year, as the current government insists? To discuss those issues and others, we're joined now by Sabena Siddiqui, who is a foreign affairs journalist and geopolitical analyst. And we're also joined by Farooqui, who is a journalist and civil and human rights activist. Anis and Sabena, thank you both for joining us here on BMTV's The Scope. Anis, I'd like to start with you, if I may.
Sure.
Do you think elections are the answer at this time?
Elections are the answer, but the timing is not right. We still need some more time to settle down some of the stuff which Pakistan needs in their electoral reforms. We also need some time to sort out some of the legislation surrounding the election conflicts and conspiracies that's been going on for 75 years. And also, election is a very expensive affair when it comes to third world country like Pakistan, where we have issues of economic insolvency and default on our doorsteps. So yes, it is an answer for a better democracy, but still we have a year and a half left in the current government regime, because the governments are based on the parliaments, the upper house, lower house, the provincial assemblies. It's not based on a term of a prime minister. In-house change can happen anywhere in the world. Even the latest rumors in British Parliament of Boris Johnson is similar, a change that can happen with a no confidence motion. That does not mean that that's the end of a democracy, or that's the end of a term of the entire government. So the entire government, in my opinion, still has about a year and a half left. Let them complete it, sort it out, let one of the budget come, put the economy on the right path, deal with IMF issues, deal with the current deficits, and the GDP negative growth, and then we can definitely talk about elections, of course, and that would be a better way of transition to the democracy.
Okay. Sabena, a year and a half, do you think we can survive that long in this atmosphere of, political hyperbole, mudslinging on both sides?
Well, it's not going to be easy, and the path is going to be quite difficult ahead. But I think that it is compulsory for us to wait a while and let the dust settle down. There are too many issues right now. We have economic issues to settle, and we are threatened with default if we don't go to the IMF. And the IMF does not talk to any interim government or to any caretaker government, or even if there is a martial law, they do not negotiate. For that, we need an elected government. At this time, the only kind of elected government available is the one which has come into power after a legal, completely constitutional, no confidence motion. So for the country's economic stability, first of all, we have to go to the IMF and go ahead with the program and try to get some funding from other countries, stabilize the economy, and save the country from an economic crisis. Secondly, the narrative which the outgoing previous party is using for going into the elections is based on a lot of really imaginary things, and some of it may be fact, but a lot of it is imaginary, and that has really triggered a certain the masses, a certain part of the masses which does not research or think for themselves and just go for populist narrative, they have bought that story, and they would go ahead and like vote on the basis of that. So if we can extend the election timing till August 2023, that would be best. We could let the people make wiser decisions. Let this government prove its mettle. Give this government also a chance, because they're all elected representatives, and not let another party just win due to populist narrative and a lot of jalsas and rallies. Bringing a rally is not something solid. Anybody can bring a rally. I've seen every party is able to have a good rally. All of them have had them. It doesn't mean that today this party is bringing a rally, it should come into government, and the second one should come. I mean, it's not a rally game at all. So in my opinion, it would be best to hang on, but let's see what the PTI plans ahead. Right now, it has taken a step back.
Okay. If I may come in, Sabena, because I wanted to bring in Anis on that point too. Anis, on the point then of just the rhetoric that we have right now, right, and the kind of populist rhetoric that we have really coming out on both sides. So we can certainly talk about Imran Khan and his supporters online, and I know both you as well as Sabena are very active on Twitter and on other such platforms, and you've seen the arguments playing out there between supporters of both sides. In such an atmosphere, I mean, it's really hard to lead a government, is it not, where you have this sort of mudslinging even among supporters and this sort of distrust in whoever really leads now?
Well, first of all, I would like to, comment upon Sabena's commentary,
Sure.
Where she says like one and a half year, let them prove. I don't think it's enough time for any government to prove anything. It's just a transition period. It's just to take the country out of the deficit, economic crisis. Maybe they can, maybe they cannot, and that's what they are negotiating right now, thinking amongst their own quarters with Nawaz Sharif in London and bringing the party heads visiting them. So they are also scratching their head that how to get out of it. Can we get out of it? And that's, I think, what they have come to a conclusion, which I can see that they have taken some hard decisions of increasing the prices on the gasoline. Also, they have taken some other hard decisions, which is not going to be politically benefiting for them. But now, mudsliding and everything, as far as they are concerned, and as far as the wishes of PTI is concerned, I don't believe that the nations go into election on somebody's wishes, somebody's dream, or somebody's on their own agenda. They should go on election when it's the right time, and if they can afford it, and if there is its necessity is there, right? Currently, I don't see that Imran Khan's demand of having a quick election is in the interest of anybody other than themselves, which they want to test. Somebody has advised them, hey, let's get into election and we will get a majority or two-third majority, and we will rule this country for next 10 years. But the odds are opposite. I don't see any signs of actually, I see a decline in PTI's electoral popularity, because we all know that the 2018 elections were a different hype. It was a different kind of campaign with a lot of support from all quarters. Now, situation is different. There's only one media house. There's only certain people. There's only some right-wing extremist kind of support I can see. But overall, as a nation, in all 4 provinces, I don't see any improvement. Also, remember that election is not about rallies. It's not about dharnas. It's not about number of people you bring to the crowd. It's not about the songs you sing in the DJ. It's about the electoral, and the elections are won on the day of the elections. If you have the infrastructure, if you have your own party, strong infrastructure in each nook and corner of the country, that's where you win elections, and you win election by constituency by constituency. It's not by that you just come on a national television, or you come on a TikTok, or you come on a Instagram and then say, hey, listen, I'm Imran Khan, vote me. It's not going to work like that. So there are Sardars, there are Chaudhry, there's Waderas, there are elite class, there are industrialists, there are caste. So everything especially we don't have to forget the Maulana factor is huge in KPK. We must remember the People's Party love in interior Sindh. We must remember there is an MQM presence in urban Sindh, and then the overall Punjab, where PMLN has gained the support. So it's a whole different ball game, which Imran needs to sit down, strategize.
So if I may, Anis, before going to break, I wanted to, in fact, ask you, Sabena, about the current government, right? And there are many misgivings about the current government as well, right? So the Sharif family, as well as the PPP, Asif Zardari, his son, et cetera, there's a long list of misgivings about the current government and the officials that represent them. What do you make of that? And do you think that they are the right ones to lead the country at this transition time as well?
Question from me?
Yes, it is. It's for you, Sabena. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Well, they are elected. They are as elected as the PTI is. When the elections in 2018 took place, there were a lot of allegations of rigging from all sides. But whatever happened, the PPP ended up having a majority in Sindh, and PTI was given a weak edge, and it needed like quite a few parties to make its election coalition. So, I mean, they're legally elected and there's no other choice. We just don't, there are no likes and dislikes in this thing. If the PTI followers don't like PPP, they have no choice, just like the PPP has no choice because the PTI is elected. So, I mean, that's not happening. They are the people who should be around. It's constitutionally, he's voted out. But again, when we were, can I add something about his popularity?
Sure.
I have seen the PTI is popular on Twitter. It is popular on social media. When you go to the masses, most of them, the rural areas, they are not on Twitter. Even if they use their phones, they use it to pass messages or to talk to each other. They're not really on Twitter and they're not that educated. But when you come on social media, it's like PTI is everything and they have won everything. It's like I've often advised a lot of people in the
Sabena,
government.
I'm gonna cut you off there just because we're going into a break. I do apologize. It's a live show, so we will, of course, I promise, come back to you right after this break. Viewers, stay with us as we continue to discuss Pakistani politics, both with Sabena as well as Anis. We're going to discuss more the foreign policy angle after this break. Please just stay tuned for that. Welcome back, everyone. You're still here in Scope with me, Waqar Rizvi, here on BMTV, and we continue to discuss Pakistani politics with both Sabena Siddiqui and Anis Farooqui. Anis, I'd like to start off this segment with you, and as promised to the viewers, I wanted to really talk about the entire foreign policy angle to this, right? Because we've begun this entire crisis really with Imran Khan accusing a US official of saying he needed to be ousted or else. What do you make of that accusation, that allegation?
Well, we all know it was blown out of proportion. We all know that it was not substantiated. We all know that this is a pretty normal foreign office practice by sending these kind of wires and discussions and observations and commentary on the foreign diplomats and their connections in the foreign lands. So, and obviously this was brought to the knowledge of people not through in closed door parliament doors, but it was brought up right in the midst of a huge procession on the streets. So that shows the responsibility of a leadership, how responsible they are. It shows like how they are dealing with internal and external affairs, especially the foreign affairs. Dealing with the superpower like United States of America in a small procession of few thousand people and on national television waving the paper, which I don't know if it was the actual paper. But the problem is that that has actually now gone away thanks to Shehbaz Sharif government and the committee, National Security Committee, that they have discussed it and they have ruled out everything, every possibility of foreign intervention, foreign hands or conspiracy, whatever. I think since these are the governments of amateurs, running a country, doing the foreign policy, lobbying, diplomacy is an art of a politician, not a champion of a World Cup trophy of 1992 or fast bowler. He has proved it himself. It definitely did make some dents in the foreign policy, not a huge, in my opinion. And I strongly believe that under the current government and also in the leadership of Hina Rabbani Khar and Bilawal Zardari Bhutto, they will definitely do some damage control. They already have done. World is once again starting to trust Pakistani government. World is now having a faith in us. They are trying to connect with us now, and if we get enough time with a stable government in Pakistan, it doesn't matter which government, but with these kind of positive policies, I think we can be back in the game not too far away, which I see from now onwards.
Sabena, Imran Khan, when he came into office, it was seen as a great thing for the image of Pakistan. There was a lot of positivity, positive vibes. He spoke well at times with media. I know that there are, of course, controversies even early on from the moment he came into office. But nevertheless, it said that, he improved the image of the country worldwide for better or worse. What do you make of that? And do you think that there was any really foreign intervention? Because it's not like it's completely impossible, right? In the sense that the US has intervened in other countries around the world. Why not Pakistan? And why is it so hard to believe?
Basically, he gave, like you're saying, he had a good image when he started out because of his celebrity career and his past as a celebrity. He's been liked and loved by the masses for winning the World Cup and all that, and that helped him a lot. The problem was with his team. He did not select a good team, and the foreign policy usually, Pakistan's foreign policy is roundabout. It remains this particular government kept it very inconsistent. They started off very well with Saudi Arabia, and then there were some glitches, and we had a really went the relations went into complete limbo for quite a while, and they wanted their 1 billion back in urgency and all that. Likewise with other countries as well. It was very unstable, even with the US. We could not improve our relations with the US. So there's nothing solid coming out of these almost 4 years of Imran government. There's a lot of substantial coming out of it. In the Russia trip, it was very unfortunately timed, and seeing our concerns, this is not the right time to go, because all over foreign media, we could see that there's some kind of tension with Ukraine and anything can happen. Even we could make it out, but they should have delayed it. But they went, it's not their fault, whatever happened. That's fine. America doesn't need to send letters. This is something very undiplomatic what has happened. This cipher or this cable, it's never disclosed to the public. It's only shared with the Prime Minister, the Army Chief, and the Foreign Minister. And the leakage itself is so unprofessional that nobody is going to trust our ambassadors for the next 10 years probably now. We have really suffered from this leak, and America doesn't need to send letters before it does anything with any government or any country. It just does it. We have seen it throughout the years. So this is something very childish. Maybe he built up this narrative because his popularity had dropped. There was this a lot of inflation coming and a lot of things. So, for his next elections, this is his, narrative for the next elections, actually. So foreign policy, I do not know what happened throughout his time, even with Iran, even with Saudi Arabia. There's nothing really solid if you see it. It's a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric, no matter which country you take up.
Right. Anis, if I may play devil's advocate for a moment, right? So one of the things that Imran Khan had brought up during his tenure as prime minister was the drone attacks, right? And we know, yes, that there have been a lot of innocent Pakistanis who did die because of drone attacks. Is this, or is the concern that some people have that we will now go into, in Pakistan, a mode where the country is, I don't know if the word is submissive, but maybe the word is submissive towards the West and the United States? Or do you think that the country will ensure independent policy making?
Well, Waqar, it's a historic fact that Pakistan was going in that region, a war against terror, and we were dealing with terrorism from all over the world. All the jihadis were Pakistan-centric, and war was fought in Afghanistan, and the West was attacked right from Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, and his allies were heading those coalition against West. So at that time, when Pakistan was a partner and an ally in the war against terror, it was a joint effort between the NATO and the Pakistani army and the Pakistan's defense. So I don't think Imran Khan knew those details, or he was privy of those secret confidential missions and the combats. At that time, it did happen. Musharraf knew very well when and where, and they facilitated some of the attacks. Definitely, there was no doubt collateral damage was there. Civilians were also killed, but that was part of the war. That was definitely in that region. We were affected. Pakistan lost more than 72,000 of their own civilian and army lives in the line of duty for fighting for America. So yeah, it is a historic fact. We all should know about it. I don't see in the recent history that there has been any drone attacks in the Pakistani airspace. First of all, there is no need. War on terror has been, like a matter of history now. The Afghans, Taliban are on the negotiating tables with the NATO and the US in Doha, Qatar, and they are building their own relationship. So Imran Khan wants to play every single card in his sleeve and throw it out without knowing the historic facts. I think you as a British Muslim should be more concerned about he attacking a drone attack in London on one of your own citizen, Altaf Hussain. So instead of we should be worried about any drone attacks from US.
Very well. Sabena, I wanted to ask you about that issue of the drone attacks. And the reason I keep bringing it up is because many people would say that it would be refreshing for a Pakistani prime minister to so openly stand up to the West, right? That seemed to be the reputation that Khan now has. What do you make of that?
Yeah, when he said that, absolutely not and everything. The point is, nobody had asked him for the airspace. There is no video evidence. There is no official statement from the US State Department. Nobody had asked him about drone attacks or any permission. He was giving an interview to a journalist from Axios, and that is a journalist's point of view. He wanted an answer, and he got that, but that wasn't an official answer from one government to the other. So really, it's very, very vague what really happened about these drone attacks and the permission, really. And we don't need, I don't think the US needs airspace at all. They have their forces stationed at Qatar, and they can just fly from there or some other country. They don't really need Pakistani airspace any longer, and there's no war on terror going on. Afghanistan itself, we just had a truce with we are having a truce with the Afghan, the TTP, the Pakistani Taliban and the Afghan Taliban. We are sorting it out. So I don't think there's any need in the days ahead for this kind of thing.
Right. Anis, we just have about a minute and a half left, so I wanted to get your final thoughts. Are you optimistic at this time? The country is going through major economic crisis, a lot of IMF pressure, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Are you optimistic that this is the government that can fix those issues? I know that you said it's a wait-and-see game, but what is your crystal ball, or what is your guesstimation on this?
Yeah, I am optimistic, because it's not about the current government. It's also about all the stakeholders are on the same page, and they are focusing. Their main focus is on economy, and that is the reason that Imran had to postpone and make a U-turn from D Chowk, Islamabad, when he was planning to stay there for another 126 days. But it didn't even last 26 hours. And that shows that the stakeholders are not aligned at the moment with Imran Khan's party or his narrative, because initially at 2018 it was a different narrative. The country was heading in a different direction. Now I think it's about time to focus on economy. And you always remember this, that if there is a country, then there is an army and there is a political party. If there is no country, there is nobody. So including myself and all our viewers. So we should focus on saving the country from economic crisis rather than fighting within ourselves.
And Sabena, just in 30 seconds, if you can, I want to get your thoughts as well. How optimistic are you?
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic about this government. If it's given some time, it could improve the economic situation and stabilize things, even if it does not.
It seems we're having some audio difficulties, unfortunately, Sabena. I will cut you off. I do apologize. But we'll leave it there at that with Sabena and Anis. We do appreciate both of you taking your time to speak to us here on BMTV's The Scope. I'll be back next week, viewers, with another hot topic of the day. Stay tuned for that show next week. Thank you for watching.